Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you about something we all face at some point in our lives: being alone. Now, some people hear that word and immediately think it means lonely. But let me tell you something. Being alone and being lonely are two very different things. See, life isn't about how many people are around you. It's about how much peace you have within you. It's about whether you can stand in a room by yourself, look in the mirror, and love the person staring back at you. Happiness isn't found in a crowd. It's not in validation from others. It's not in likes, shares, or comments. Happiness is an inside job. And the moment you stop searching for it in other people, that's the moment you'll find it where it's been all along. Inside you. How do you be happy alone? You invest in yourself. You build yourself up. You take yourself out. You enjoy your own company. Because if you don't love spending time with you, why should anyone else? You chase purpose, not people. You work on your dreams, you read, you grow, you pray, you exercise, you take care of your mind, your body, your soul. And before you know it, you're not just okay being alone, you're thriving in it. See, the strongest people in this world, they know how to stand alone. They don't need a crowd to feel worthy. They don't need noise to feel important. They don't need company to feel complete. So if you find yourself alone right now, don't see it as a punishment. See it as preparation, a time to learn, to heal, to strengthen, to become the person you were always meant to be. Because when you become truly happy alone, you become unstoppable. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Many people confuse the two, thinking that if they are by themselves, they must automatically feel isolated or disconnected. But being alone is simply a state of being, while loneliness is a feeling. You can be in a crowded room and still feel lonely. You can be surrounded by family, friends, and colleagues and still feel like no one understands you. On the other hand, you can be completely by yourself and feel at peace, content, and fulfilled. The difference isn't about the number of people around you. It's about your state of mind. Society often teaches us that happiness is linked to being with others. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that having a big circle of friends, a loving relationship, and a social life filled with events and activities is what makes life meaningful. While connections with others are important, they should never be the sole source of our happiness. Relying on external factors to define our emotional state is a dangerous game because circumstances change, people come and go, and situations don't always work in our favor. True fulfillment comes from within, not from the presence of others. Many people fear being alone because they are afraid of what they might find when there's no one else to distract them. They fill their time with noise, with constant activity, with anything that prevents them from sitting still with their own thoughts. But avoiding solitude does not solve the problem. It only delays the inevitable. The ability to be alone and feel at peace with oneself is a skill that requires self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a willingness to confront whatever is inside. When you strip away the distractions, you are left with your true self, and that can be intimidating for some. But facing yourself is the first step toward real growth. There is power in solitude. It allows time for reflection, for understanding who you really are without the influence of others. It gives you the space to listen to your own thoughts, to evaluate your goals, and to decide what truly matters to you. When you are alone, there is no pressure to please anyone, no expectations to meet, no compromises to make. You have the freedom to explore your passions, focus on your personal development, and move at your own pace. This is when you learn that you don't need external validation to feel whole. People often believe that loneliness is something to be avoided at all costs. But the truth is that loneliness is not caused by physical solitude. It's caused by a disconnection from oneself. If you do not have a strong relationship with yourself, no amount of company will ever fill that void. The moment you begin to understand, accept, and appreciate yourself, being alone no longer feels empty. Instead, it becomes a source of strength, a time for clarity, and an opportunity to recharge. Learning to differentiate between being alone and feeling lonely is essential. One is a choice, the other is a state of mind. The key is to embrace solitude rather than fear it, to see it as a gift rather than a burden, to use it as a time to build rather than a time to wait. The most confident, successful, and fulfilled individuals are those who have mastered the ability to be alone without feeling lonely. They have learned that happiness is not dependent on anyone else. It comes from within. Happiness is an inside job, not found in others. Too often, people search for happiness outside themselves, believing that relationships, friendships, or social approval will complete them. They look to others for validation, thinking that if they are loved, accepted, or admired, they will finally feel whole. This mindset creates a dangerous cycle where one's emotional well-being becomes dependent on external factors that are beyond control. True happiness is not something that someone else can give. It is something that must be built from within. When happiness depends on other people, it becomes fragile. Relationships change, people leave, and circumstances shift. If someone's sense of fulfillment is tied to another person, then their emotions will fluctuate based on that person's actions. A compliment might bring temporary joy, but a criticism can destroy confidence. Constantly seeking approval creates insecurity because it places power in the hands of others. No one should have that much control over how another person feels about themselves. Relying on others for happiness means giving away personal power and losing the ability to create joy from within. Many people believe that once they find the right partner, make the right friends, or surround themselves with the right crowd, they will finally be happy. This illusion causes them to chase after connections, hoping that someone else will fill the emptiness they feel inside. But no relationship can fix what is broken internally. No amount of love from another person can replace the love that is missing from within. When people enter relationships without first finding peace in themselves, they often place unrealistic expectations on others, hoping that someone else will fix what only they can heal. Happiness is a personal responsibility. It comes from self-awareness, from understanding what truly brings joy, and from creating a life that aligns with personal values. It requires self-acceptance, the ability to embrace both strengths and flaws without needing external reassurance. People who are genuinely happy know that their worth is not determined by how others see them, but by how they see themselves. They cultivate happiness through their actions, habits, and mindset, rather than waiting for someone else to provide it. One of the most powerful ways to create internal happiness is through gratitude. Instead of focusing on what is missing, happy individuals appreciate what they already have. They do not take life for granted. They recognize the beauty in small moments, the lessons in challenges, and the blessings in everyday experiences. Gratitude shifts the focus from lack to abundance, creating a mindset that finds joy even in the simplest things. Another key factor in internal happiness is self-growth. People who invest in themselves, who pursue their goals, who take care of their mental and physical health, naturally develop a sense of fulfillment. When a person is constantly improving, learning, and evolving, they feel a deep sense of purpose. They do not need someone else to make them feel valuable because they recognize their own worth. Growth creates confidence, and confidence leads to inner peace. Happiness is also rooted in living authentically. Many people sacrifice their happiness trying to fit in, meet expectations, or gain acceptance. They suppress their true selves, believing that if they act a certain way, they will be liked more. But happiness cannot exist where authenticity is missing. True joy comes from being honest about who you are, embracing your uniqueness, and living life on your own terms. It means making decisions based on personal fulfillment rather than the fear of judgment. Happiness does not come from external validation, relationships, or material success. It is built through self-love, gratitude, growth, and authenticity. The moment a person stops searching for happiness in others and starts creating it within themselves, they gain the freedom to truly enjoy life. Investing in yourself, mind, body, and soul, is one of the most important things you can do. Many people spend their entire lives giving their time and energy to others, often neglecting their own needs in the process. They work hard to please their families, friends, and employers, but rarely take the time to nurture themselves. When self-care is ignored, it leads to burnout, stress, and a feeling of emptiness. The key to long-term happiness and fulfillment is making yourself a priority and committing to your own growth and well-being. Taking care of the mind starts with feeding it the right things. The thoughts you entertain, the information you consume, and the way you speak to yourself all shape your mental state. Negative self-talk and limiting beliefs create barriers that prevent progress. Replacing self-doubt with self-encouragement is essential for building confidence and resilience. Reading books, learning new skills, and surrounding yourself with positive influences help expand the mind and create a mindset focused on growth. The more you invest in learning and self-improvement, the more empowered you become in every area of life. Protecting your mental space also means being intentional about what you allow into it. The conversations you have, the media you consume, and the people you associate with all affect your mindset. Negative energy is contagious, and spending time around toxic people can drain motivation and create unnecessary stress. Choosing to surround yourself with uplifting, goal-oriented individuals fosters an environment where you can thrive. Setting boundaries and protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary for maintaining a strong, healthy mind. The body is just as important as the mind when it comes to personal investment. Physical health impacts energy levels, mood, and overall quality of life. Exercise is not just about appearance. It is about strength, endurance, and vitality. Moving the body regularly through workouts, stretching, or even daily walks helps reduce stress and boost mental clarity. Fueling the body with nutritious food instead of processed junk provides the energy needed to perform at your best. Neglecting physical health leads to fatigue and lack of motivation, making it difficult to stay focused and productive. When the body is strong and healthy, confidence increases, and daily challenges become easier to handle. Rest and recovery are also crucial aspects of physical investment. Many people push themselves to exhaustion, believing that constant work is the key to success. However, without proper rest, both the body and mind suffer. Prioritizing sleep, taking breaks, and allowing time for relaxation enhances productivity and creativity. Pushing through exhaustion may bring short-term results, but long-term success requires balance. Taking care of the body is not a luxury. It is a necessity for sustaining energy and focus. The soul is often overlooked, but it plays a critical role in overall well-being. Feeding the soul means connecting with something greater than yourself, whether through faith, meditation, or simply spending time in nature. It is about finding peace within, reflecting on life's purpose, and embracing the present moment. Practicing gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, creating a sense of fulfillment and inner joy. Acts of kindness, service to others, and self-expression through creative outlets also nurture the soul and bring a deeper sense of meaning to life. Aligning the mind, body, and soul creates a strong foundation for happiness and success. When all three are in balance, challenges become easier to overcome and life becomes more enjoyable. Personal investment requires consistency and effort, but the rewards are immeasurable. It is not about perfection, but about progress. Choosing each day to make decisions that support growth, health, and inner peace. Chasing purpose instead of people is one of the most liberating choices a person can make. Many people spend their lives trying to gain the approval of others, seeking validation in relationships, friendships, and social circles. They measure their worth based on how many people like them, how much attention they receive, or how well they fit into certain groups. This constant pursuit of acceptance often leads to disappointment, because no matter how hard someone tries, they will never be able to control how others perceive them. The real fulfillment in life does not come from chasing people. It comes from chasing a purpose that is greater than temporary approval. When a person focuses on their purpose, they stop worrying about who is watching or who is supporting them. They become driven by their own vision rather than the expectations of others. Purpose provides direction, giving life meaning beyond social connections. It keeps a person moving forward, even when they are alone. Many of the most successful and fulfilled individuals have spent long periods of time working in isolation, focused on their goals while others doubted them. They did not waste time trying to impress people or fit into groups that did not align with their vision. Instead, they committed themselves to their purpose and let success bring the right people into their lives. Relying on others for happiness creates instability. If a person's joy is dependent on relationships, friendships, or social status, then their emotional well-being will always be at risk. People change, friendships fade, and social circles shift. If happiness is attached to these things, then it becomes impossible to maintain a sense of peace when circumstances change. On the other hand, when happiness is rooted in purpose, it remains steady regardless of who stays or who leaves. Purpose is a source of motivation that does not rely on external factors. It is something that belongs entirely to the individual, something that cannot be taken away. Finding purpose requires self-reflection and honesty. Many people live their lives following paths that were chosen for them by society, family, or peer pressure. They pursue careers, relationships, and lifestyles that do not truly align with who they are, all because they fear disappointing others. They make choices based on what is expected of them rather than what fulfills them. Living this way leads to a sense of emptiness because no matter how much they achieve, they never feel truly satisfied. Purpose, on the other hand, is deeply personal. It is not about pleasing others, but about pursuing what genuinely excites and inspires the individual. When a person chooses to chase purpose instead of people, they naturally attract the right kind of connections. People who are aligned with their values and goals begin to show up in their lives. Instead of forcing relationships, they develop connections that are built on mutual respect and shared vision. When someone is focused on their growth and mission, they do not have to beg for attention or force friendships. They become so dedicated to their path that the right people gravitate toward them. Chasing purpose also builds self-confidence. When someone dedicates themselves to something meaningful, they develop skills, knowledge, and experience that strengthen their sense of self-worth. They no longer need external validation because they recognize their own value through their progress. Purpose gives life a sense of fulfillment that no amount of social approval can replace. It creates a lasting sense of achievement and inner peace that remains even when others are not around. Choosing purpose over people does not mean avoiding relationships or isolating from the world. It means prioritizing what truly matters over temporary approval. It means focusing on goals, dreams, and self-improvement instead of seeking constant validation. It means understanding that personal fulfillment comes from within, and that the most rewarding connections are those that support and uplift a person's mission rather than distract from it. Learning to enjoy your own company is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness, boredom, or a lack of purpose. They constantly seek distractions, fill their schedules with social activities, and surround themselves with others to avoid facing themselves. But true happiness comes when a person can sit alone without any external stimulation and still feel at peace. Being comfortable in solitude is not about isolating from the world. It is about finding contentment within, without relying on others for entertainment, validation, or fulfillment. When a person enjoys their own company, they stop seeking external approval. They no longer need others to make them feel worthy or valuable because they have built a strong sense of self from within. They understand that their happiness does not depend on anyone else's presence or attention. This independence creates confidence because they are no longer afraid of being alone. They do not settle for toxic relationships or friendships just to avoid solitude. They know that being alone with peace is better than being surrounded by people who drain their energy. Spending time alone allows for deep self-reflection. It provides the opportunity to understand personal desires, strengths, and weaknesses without outside influence. Many people go through life unaware of who they truly are because they are constantly distracted by the noise of others. They adopt opinions, habits, and beliefs that are not their own, simply because they have never taken the time to question them. When a person embraces solitude, they gain clarity on what truly matters to them. They become more in tune with their emotions, their goals, and their purpose. Being comfortable alone also fosters creativity. Some of the greatest ideas, innovations, and works of art have come from moments of solitude. When there are no outside opinions, a person's mind is free to think deeply and explore new possibilities. The best solutions often come when there is silence, when the mind is not occupied with social pressures or distractions. Solitude allows for deep thinking, problem solving, and the freedom to express oneself without fear of judgment. People who enjoy their own company also develop emotional resilience. They do not panic when plans are canceled, when relationships change, or when life takes unexpected turns. They have learned to find joy in their own presence, so they are not dependent on constant companionship. This makes them stronger in difficult times because they do not rely on others to stabilize their emotions. They know how to comfort themselves, how to stay motivated, and how to keep moving forward regardless of external circumstances. When a person is comfortable being alone, they engage in activities that truly make them happy. They read, write, exercise, learn new skills, travel, or pursue hobbies without needing someone else to join them. They no longer wait for others to experience life. They take themselves out to dinner, go to the movies alone, or explore new places without hesitation. They see solitude as an opportunity rather than a punishment. Instead of feeling awkward or self-conscious, they embrace the freedom that comes with not depending on others for enjoyment. Developing a strong relationship with oneself also leads to better relationships with others. People who are secure in their own company do not seek relationships out of desperation or loneliness. They do not cling to others for emotional support or validation. Instead, they choose connections based on genuine compatibility, mutual respect, and shared values. They are not afraid to walk away from toxic situations because they know they are perfectly fine on their own. This self-sufficiency makes their relationships healthier because they are built on mutual appreciation rather than dependence. The ability to enjoy solitude transforms the way a person experiences life. It shifts the focus from needing others to feeling complete within. It turns moments of solitude into moments of growth, peace, and self-discovery. It allows for a deeper understanding of oneself and a stronger sense of fulfillment that is not reliant on external factors. Being happy alone makes you unstoppable. When a person learns to find joy, peace, and fulfillment within themselves, they become independent in a way that few people ever achieve. They are no longer controlled by the fear of being alone, the need for external validation, or the pressure to conform to societal expectations. Instead, they operate from a place of strength, knowing that their happiness is something they create for themselves. This kind of self-sufficiency is rare, and it sets a person apart from the majority who still believe that happiness must come from others. When someone is truly happy alone, they stop making decisions based on fear. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships, friendships, or situations simply because they are afraid of solitude. They tolerate toxic behavior, accept less than they deserve, and compromise their own happiness just to avoid being alone. But a person who has mastered the art of being happy by themselves will never settle. They are not afraid to walk away from anything that does not serve them. They understand that they would rather be alone and at peace than surrounded by the wrong people. This mindset allows them to make clear, confident choices that align with their true values rather than ones based on insecurity. Independence creates a level of confidence that cannot be shaken. When someone relies on others for happiness, their mood and self-worth fluctuate based on how others treat them. A kind word can lift them up, but a rejection or criticism can break them down. This makes them vulnerable to manipulation, constantly seeking approval and validation to feel good about themselves. But a person who is content alone does not need anyone's approval to feel whole. They know their worth, and that knowledge is unshakable. Their confidence comes from within, making them immune to the ups and downs of external opinions. Being happy alone also means having the freedom to pursue personal goals without distraction. Many people lose themselves in relationships or social circles, pouring all their energy into maintaining connections instead of working toward their dreams. They become so focused on fitting in, making others happy, or keeping up appearances that they neglect their own ambitions. But someone who enjoys their own company uses their solitude as a time for growth. They work on their passions, develop their skills, and push themselves toward success without waiting for permission or approval, and they do not need anyone else to motivate them because their drive comes from within. Resilience is another key strength that comes from being happy alone. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how strong a support system someone has, there will always be moments when they have to face challenges by themselves. People who are afraid of being alone often struggle in these situations because they have never learned how to stand on their own. They understand that they struggle, they panic, feel lost, or become overwhelmed without external support. But those who have embraced solitude know that they can handle anything. They have spent time developing emotional strength, learning how to comfort and uplift themselves, and facing challenges without relying on others. This self-reliance makes them capable of navigating any situation with confidence and clarity. A person who is happy alone also attracts better relationships. When someone is desperate for companionship, they often accept whatever comes their way, even if it is not right for them. They tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, and unhealthy dynamics just to avoid loneliness. But someone who is already fulfilled does not seek relationships out of need. They choose connections based on true compatibility rather than fear of being alone. This means they attract people who respect them, align with their values, and contribute positively to their lives. They do not chase love or friendship, they allow it to come naturally, knowing that their happiness is not dependent on it. The ability to be happy alone is a superpower. It gives a person control over their own emotions, confidence in their own decisions, and the freedom to live life on their own terms. It eliminates desperation, fear, and dependency, replacing them with strength, clarity, and purpose. It allows a person to move through life with a sense of ease, knowing that no matter what happens, they have everything they need within themselves.